We are back with another review, and today I'm going to be showing you some really awesome fantasy castles. So if you're into fantasy castles or medieval themes, I think you might enjoy this video, even tabletop games, because you could probably use these for those as well. But I ended up 3D printing almost every single fantasy castle on MakerWorld, so if you are into that, stick around. We got some really nice ones to show you. So I got some specialty filaments that I used today as well, and we'll kind of show those off as well as we go through some of these prints. Let's start off with the first fantasy castle that I ended up printing, which is a paid model on MakerWorld. As you can see here, we did a nice marble for the side of the castle. We did a cement composite for the actual rock base here. We got the spires. We did a red brick roof. These were not the original colors, I think, that for the model, but I ended up kind of picking my own for these. There is another model that has a bridge that comes off of here that extends out, but this one I thought was really neat. So neat that I actually ended up printing this on a P1S. It was actually the first print I did on my first P1S when I got it. And then when I got my second P1S, I ended up printing this, which I really wanted to do a different look for the base here. So I did do a, I think this is a Polymaker, actually, the, what is it, the rock gradient. And then this is the same cement that I used for that base, but I did it for the castle here to give it a darker look. Same red roof, but the spires are now like gold look. And like I said, this is a really cool model. This is like, this was probably the model that kind of got me into printing these other ones. Some of them are not as intricate as this, because this came colored. Some of these you'd have to literally color them all the pieces yourself, kind of like a coloring book, if you would. But I'll show you the last Lichtenstein that I ended up putting out here, which is a gradient PLA here, which I ended up getting the full scope. We got from orange to pink to purple to blue to green, and then back to kind of a yellow, which would have wrapped around back down here. But I got the full gradient on this castle, and I thought that was really cool. And we'll talk about gradients here in a second, because when it comes to gradients, you can get like these really awesome prints if you start the print at the right color for the gradient, if you know what I'm saying. And let's show you this here. Let's move these back here for now. But yeah, that's a cool gradient, and I wanted to show this one off because I was able to get the full spectrum of a not fast color change gradient. But we'll look at some fast color change gradients here in a second, so put that aside. Now, speaking of starting at the right time for the gradients, this was an example of that. I ended up removing a bunch off the spool so I could start it on this yellow to have it have this like yellow border around it. And I wanted these darker colors to be for the rock, almost like it's like a sunset or sunrise on this castle. I thought this is so cool and intricate, the way that this this fade happened here. And this is a generic PLA. I think I missed a piece of support there. This is a generic PLA I found on Amazon. I just bought it for the color scheme because I thought it was really neat how it went from like yellow to gray to like a slate green. Then it went up to like this sunset fade. And what a perfect model to print this on, but this castle. It's almost, I mean, seriously, it's almost like there's like a sunset on the castle here. And you can see like the rocks are all dark. Very, very cool. I dig this one a lot, and especially the model. The model itself is super neat. This was a colored model that I did in just a monochrome color here, but I ran that gradient on it. So, but yeah, I mean, really intricate with the, you got these little archways in here, these little spires. I think I missed another piece of support material right there in the front door, which is completely obvious, but I missed scooping that up. I'll grab that, and I think I missed another one back here under that arch. So again, that's a good example of starting the gradient at the right time. And I'll show you another one that's kind of like that, where I started it at just the right time and I was able to get a really nice effect out of the model. This is a fantasy mushroom house. I printed one of these for a previous video in glow-in-the-dark PLA when I was doing I think a Chitu Systems CBD3D filament review. I was reviewing their glow-in-the-dark PLA, but this one I did in a gradient. And as you can see here, I started on the blue, and each stair has like a different shade of the gradient, and then it goes up directly where the castle starts for this yellow to a purple and blue fade, almost like a really nice aquarium piece. But yeah, where you start the gradient, I think, matters tremendously when you're running these gradient PLAs like this, because you can get like an enhanced effect out of printing them like that, like almost like a sunset fade on a castle, or like this, which would make a really awesome aquarium piece to have. You know what I'm saying? Especially like I said, when you start it at the right time, you can get that desired effect. Now I'm going to show you another gradient. This is done with one of my favorite PLAs. This is Polymaker's. It's like a sunset fade fire gradient. And man, this is awesome. Look at this castle. I mean, look at these little archways and these little windows. You can see here the base here with all these trees. Minimal support material. I ran tree supports on this. Really awesome castle. And again, it has a really nice base here. I should probably tell you A1 Mini, A1 Mini, A1 Mini. So most of the stuff that I've printed today, minus those castles that were on the P1Ss, were printed on an A1 Mini, including this one with this gradient. I love the A1 Mini. I mean, a lot of people hate on it because it has a small build volume, but it's very similar to the FlashForge 85M and the 85M Pro and the 85X, where they're kind of in the similar, state where they're smaller than the A1, but they're bigger than the A1 Mini. But most things you could print on the A1 Mini, you could probably print on those. So it's kind of a really good crossover. But yeah, A1 Mini makes amazing work on that bed sling. I mean, look at this. I don't know. This one like blew me away the most. And this would probably be the one I would spend time coloring everything so I can get a print that looks like this and redo it, like paint all the trees, paint the base, paint all this ceramic parts and all the stonework, and basically paint this like a coloring book. Do all the windows and get a really sick, 5 to 10 day multicolor print out of it, depending on how deep I want to go into the details, if you would. But yeah, this one, pretty much, that one blew my mind away. That one, very intricate. It almost was like to the same level of showing the impressiveness of the printer, like the Lichtenstein, because they do all this stuff with the models here, which is why they have it as a pushed model, because of like the archways, the color changing, everything that would show and illustrate, this is like the capacity of what the printer can do. So let's check out some Lord of the Rings action, because of course, how can we have fantasy here without Lord of the Rings? We got Minas Tirith here, which is done in a marble stone fossil gradient PLA, not marble, stone fossil PLA, which, as you can see here, the details of like the changes of elevation look really cool, especially with that PLA. Now this one would have been cool to do like the city of Minas Tirith in white and have the cascading rock around it be in that gradient, but I don't know, kind of wanted to print the whole thing just like this and set it and forget it. And I think it turned out really great. Minimal support on this one as well. And you can see all the fine details of this one, which, again, how could you have fantasy without Lord of the Rings, right? Speaking of fantasy, this is what kind of spurred this whole video in itself, which kind of brought me down this rabbit hole recently, which was I wanted to print the castle for Symphony of the Night, Castlevania. So I ended up getting this model, printing it out. I did it in this, this is FlashForge burnt titanium, or no, this is Abyssal Purple, sorry. Abyssal Purple, and I mean, you can see here, this was a smaller model that I blew up. Printed on an A1 Mini. It did have like some kind of support underneath it, which was weird. Maybe for this bridge. Probably for this bridge. We're going to say it's for that bridge to hold that, so that was able to be attached and look uniform. And again, it was smaller, so when I blew that up, it was meant for it to be a miniature, but, looks good like that. A1 Mini. Doing work on Dracula's castle, which is pretty cool. So this was something that, like I said, was the thing I was looking to print recently, and I just kind of went down this rabbit hole with castles. Like, I had those Lichtensteins printed, but I was kind of like, let's go down the full rabbit hole. So we did, speaking of video game ones, this is Heroes of Might and Magic, which I did with the Chitu Systems black and red gradient PLA. As you can see here, the front is just straight black. and the back just looks red, almost like there's like a glowing red inferno behind the castle that's like shining off the castle. That's what this PLA really gives that effect of. Like, it's normally black, but you got this like huge fire back here. So I think that's really neat. And especially when it comes to like creating tabletop games and miniatures, things like that, details like that are really cool to enhance the experience of what you're playing. Again, all these models today also can be scaled down to whatever size you want. I just blew them up and made them to the max build volume for the A1 Mini, so I have something to kind of show you some details. Some of them looked really good blown up, like, you know, like this, which I scaled up. But something like this, when I scaled it up, you can kind of see some of the features get kind of dissolved like that. And they just kind of look kind of mushy in a way. So, you know, be careful when you're downloading models and you're going to print them. They might not look exactly like, you know, as detailed as they did when they were smaller, on a smaller scale. But this one scaled up pretty good, though. Like I said, that was from Heroes of Might and Magic. Now, I did a couple more, and then we got a Game of Thrones one. I thought this one was neat. This was one I scaled up, and I thought the windows were really intricate, as well as the top of these spires here. This is like a castle manor, which I did in, this is 3D Hojor's gradient PLA, which is a little bit, it's a little bit more muted than the Polymaker one. You can see the Polymaker one's very vibrant with its color change. And the colors that are in there for that fall color change, but still a very nice PLA. Like I said, it's more of an orange and a light orange, not so much a red burst. But I mean, this printed awesome. This one was printed, I think I printed this one on the P1S, actually. This one's printed on the P1S. All right, let's move on to, I got a Hogwarts one too coming up. I wanted to show this one off, which is, this is going to be a fast color change. Little castle here is a fast color change. I wanted to use this one for this fast color change to kind of show, you know, when it comes to gradients, you have fast or slow color change, because the fast ones are really good for things that are going to be on the bed, like if you do like flexi dragons or keychains, and you want that fast color change where, you know, not each dragon that you've printed a different color, you want them to kind of look uniform. Something like that, you'd want a fast color change PLA. All right, we'll blast through a couple more here. I'll show you another gradient one. This was done with my indigo and purple. You can see that indigo blue with the purple fade. This was like I think it was Russian style fantasy castle on MakerWorld. Again, you can literally just type in castle and see all this stuff show up on the relevant page. But I really dig these gradients, and having, like, you know, large surface areas like this, these fantasy castles, to be able to print these, I think is really cool. And the last two, after I show you this one, this was a modular castle that I ended up printing, and this is the Abyssal Red from FlashForge, which is pretty cool. I think it turned out really neat. Again, great for tabletop gaming or board games. Let's check out the last two that I got. This is going to be Winterfell. This was done with the brown to green color change gradient from Polymaker. And then this was, I think, a 3D Hojor multicolor color change filament, which I did for the forest in Winterfell. But, I mean, I think this turned out pretty cool. The stables in the front. And, again, you know, just a nice piece. Again, good for tabletop gaming. Again, these can all be scaled down to whatever size you like. Whenever you see something on MakerWorld, just open it up on an actual computer and you can actually scale it down and change the print profile to whatever, you know, whatever printer you're using. You know, when you open up the app, a lot of stuff that's in there pigeonholes you to print with the print profiles that the creator uploaded. So you can, like I said, you can alter all that, you know, and you could take these super large prints that are made for, like, you know, P1Ss, and X1Cs or H2Ds or H2Ss, and scale them down to print for your tabletop gaming. Speaking of that, let's show the last print today, which is probably the most detailed one besides those Lichtensteins. This is a Hogwarts, and I did this in the foggy orange from Polymaker, where you can see we got a nice orange gradient that way, and then you got the gray gradient that way. You know, and you got a half and half. So it's a foggy orange, which is a gray / orange filament, which makes it look so freaking cool. I think it would be neat if they, I know they have a purple with a gray. I think it'd be cool if they made like a foggy series where they did, every color with a slack gray like that, where you can just, I think that looks really cool. That way it looks totally orange and you can see some like gray highlights over here. The trees look good. These little bridges with these archways, minimal support as well. I had to break some support on that bridge right there, but for the most part, no support on these for this Hogwarts. Now I scaled this one up to max build size for my P1S, and this is what came out. Bambu Lab printers literally print the best out of any printer on the market. You can call me a fanboy or whatever, but I have thousands of hours on each one of my machines and minimal issues, and print quality is immaculate. That many hours down the road, as you can see, because this was literally printed on a printer that I've had since February. So, and like I said, thousands of hours on it. Beautiful. No layer shifts. Not even my model. So not even something I created. You take a chance pretty much when you print other people's models, because sometimes they don't really work out as intended, if you would. But, and especially when you have something like this large where, you're wasting a lot of filament if it screws up towards the top or something. But yeah, anyway, any of the models you see today are available on MakerWorld. Go over there and check it out. I'll leave a generic link down to MakerWorld down there. Just type in literally Castle, and the ones that show up on the first few pages are going to be literally everything you see here today. If you want to see a specific type of model that you see today, like Hogwarts, type that in, Lichtenstein, stuff like that, Castlevania or Dracula's Castle, type that in, and you can see that, Minas Tirith, you type that in, Heroes of Might and Magic, Winterfell, stuff like that. You can search keywords, but honestly, just type in the word Castle and you can get lost in the sauce straight up. Grab yourself a nice gradient or a nice filament and do a single color print, or get crazy and, do up a nice multicolor print. But yeah, why don't you let me know down in the comments below which one was your favorite model from today. Me personally, probably the Lichtensteins or this fall gradient one I printed with Polymaker's PLA. Maybe even this one. I don't know. Really good, two good ones though, for sure. But you let me know yours down in the comments below. Like I said, all the links will be in the description. Go check it out. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.